Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. So, LaFonda picked up some muffins last night and I wasn't hungry, so I kept it and microwaved it, put a little bit of margarine, and it's blueberry and blueberry yogurt and my coffee. So, that girl is getting me to show the apartment. I can't wait until Monday. She calls me up. The door's unlocked over there. She said, there's a girl that wants to look at the apartment and I'm stuck in Millwood. So I showed it to her, and same time Jenny called saying Jace had a nosebleed and all this stuff, and if I could watch Clara for a couple hours, and so she wouldn't have to wait at the emergency for 3 hours, because she knew it would be a 3 or 4 hour wait. So Clara stayed here for about 3 hours, and then I walked over with her, and she was the next one to go in, so Clara wanted to stay, so anyway, she said when he first went in, I guess they seen him, and they gave him something for vomiting and painkiller because he was sore all over. Guess he was throwing up, but anything to do, she's not, well, I suppose she's being safe like I did, I suppose, but he's like her. She used to get bad nosebleeds in the summertime when it's dry like this. And New Brunswick don't get dry, so, but, and especially St. John, but sometimes they would have the humidity. I mean, it's drier here out in Alberta than down home, of course, right? But because they're not close to any oceans or anything. Pacific is still another province away. Anyway, she used to, but she never vomited blood either, so, I mean, but myself, I'm thinking it's because of the weather last couple of days, but she was supposed to call me or text me or tell me what was going on. It can't be too serious, because if it was, she would have definitely texted me or called me. But he was tired and sore, and he probably was from being sick and everything. He didn't eat nothing because he was sick, and anyhow, I don't know. Well, I remember when she was a baby, she was just young. She was born August 19th, so she probably was only a couple weeks old, because we were having the dry heat weather in September. That first or second week of September, we always, and I turned her over, she was in her crib, and there was blood everywhere. I was like, oh my God, I started screaming. Yeah, I think me and Jim took her I took her right to the emergency, because you never hear. Because Bro and LaFonda never ever had, not at that age, an infant. Anyway, the doctor said it was nosebleed from the weather, because she wasn't even drinking water or anything yet. Like, she was on milk or whatever, but she probably was a little dehydrated too. when it's hot, if it's going to be hot this week, next week now we're going to get the cold, but she's going to have to make sure that he got a lot of water. I'm pretty sure that's what the doctor said. She dehydrated, and I mean, she was only 2-3 weeks old. Had to dehydrate, but it just being so hot and you sweat a lot, and because I was like, I never ever heard tell an infant having a big nosebleed like that. Man. And I remember in school, when school just start, whatever, she was in the playground and someone just touched her nose, and swear to God, someone cut her head off. And blood went flying. Just touched her nose. But yeah. But yeah. Everything must have been okay though. She would text me or she wanted to stay. I would have taken Clara back, but and Jenny said they were already there for like three hours and almost 4, so all Clara did was came, had pizza, and then LaFonda had to go somewhere. Ian had to go to sleep. Leah was in the bedroom while she was, put something on TV, and she was out in the living room, but she laid there and watched this painting show, and she fell asleep, so I told Leah she could go talk to her friend, whatever, and I'll sit on the chair out there and watch her. Yeah. Well, I think that's what that was. This time of year. We always called it Indian summer. The first, second week of September. That's what we always called it. I called it because Mom called it, and her mom called it, and their generations called it Indian summer, right? Maybe because that's when they usually harvest everything in September, first week like that. Like the root vegetables, and the native people, they grew a lot, so maybe that's why they called it Indian summer. I don't know, but it's probably something to do with the growing of crops and whatever. Corn and any type of, because back then they didn't do greenhouses and everything, and they didn't need it, you know. So everything like corn you can get here July and August. Back in the day, it was August, September that you got corn. I know because we grew it. We always had carrots, parsnips, potatoes, all root vegetables, you know. And they were coming up. Because I know Grampy, on Dad's side, the boys, PEI, Nova Scotia and whatever, Because they had big, up in New Brunswick, like the French, like the Acadian part of it, like northwest, northeast, along the Northumberland Strait. They had big farms, big potato and carrots and stuff. Big farms, and they would get the boys. Usually it was middle school and high school, like high school boys from all over. And they'd bus them, and then they had places for them to, like bunk beds or whatever, like bunk houses. And the first 2 weeks of September, they would miss school. They'd have to go back after 2 weeks, but they had 2 weeks. This is before it was cheaper than using machinery. Because they wouldn't pay them like a man's wage back then. High school students will take anything. And they'd work for 2 weeks, and they get paid. So they wouldn't have to pay their food. Their meals were made, cooked, and breakfast, dinner, and supper, and stuff like that. And they didn't have to pay for the room and board, but anyway, and women in the house, they would do their laundry, and anyways, they would do the potatoes, carrots, because machinery they would have to operate, and it'd break down, and then it would be a delay and for the part, and it was just easier to have manpower for 2 weeks, a bunch of boys. And that's how Grampy ended up staying there. And then meeting my grandmother, and they got married and everything. I think after graduation, he worked there probably 3-4 years in his high school. That's if he finished. I don't know if he finished high school, but then after they're married or whatever, he went in the military, so he was in World War II. He was in the military. But he always worked for himself after that. When he came back, he didn't work for nobody. He always found things to do. Like they were up in Bronson and plant trees and had Christmas trees, and he just planted and fished, and he had these smoke houses and smoke fish, and he would hunt and sell rabbits and deer, and she'd make rabbit pie or meat pie, and she'd knit and sell her crochet and whatever, blankets, and he never, and then they owned a taxi thing. That's when Dad was a little bit older there, and before he met Mom, and because him and his brother drove cab for him for a little bit, and he always worked for himself. And then he would he'd get paid on the weekend. He'd be a commissioner at the Legion, and they would pay him. He would be a commissioner, usually at the Legion or somewhere like that, a government building, whatever. Any commissioners are usually someone who's veteran of military sort of thing, you know. So yeah. But why they call it Indian summer, I'm thinking it probably would have to do with the crops and back then they didn't put as many vegetables in, so everything was later. Like later. The potatoes and all that, and they didn't use greenhouses like they do now, and they plant by seed. They plant by seed. But yeah, because I guess they had the boys from everywhere. The high school, whoever wanted to go. But they worked hard. So I can see why they had to go everywhere, because, you know, but there were the big boys. They would take in, they picked probably if you're really skinny and small and, you know, not built, because it was tough. It didn't matter if it rained, it didn't matter if whatever, they still had to go out there for that and get those. And I think it was like not 7 days a week, but probably at least 6. They would definitely at that time have Sunday off. And they'd have to go to church or whatever, but long days. Don't think they would have to wake up like when Dad worked out in the woods. He would wake up at 4 in the morning. He'd be out there at 5. He would work 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 to get a 7-hour day, because in the woods, when the sun around noon, it was just too many flies. Wouldn't have been able to, mosquitoes, I should say, not flies, but mosquitoes and stuff. So they used to go work at 5 o'clock in the morning and stay until about 11:30, 12 o'clock, and then they'd leave. They would 6, 7-hour days or whatever, but they would work on Saturday too, so that would give them over their 40 hours a week, you know, or close to it. But yeah. So that's about it. I have 5 more minutes. I want to hurry up and have a cigarette, and I got my clothes in the wash. So, yeah. I was going to do the McDonald's breakfast thing, but oh well, this is good enough. This is good enough. So I'm going to go out and have my smoke and then put my clothes in the dryer. So you guys all have a good day and stay safe, and it's cigarette time.